Good morning, everyone. This is Evelyn. It is 10:17 on the clock. A turn for the better in the star. All your wishes and dreams coming true. I have 3 union reads today, but there's an important point here. The first one is a really quick summary union read for 3D, 4D, 5D. The second one is also 3D, 4D, 5D, and the third one is 4D, 5D, 6D. And I want to show you up front just the difference in the colors so you understand what Spirit's trying to say, right? So this is the first quick one I did. Okay, so you see the colors, how it's so colorful, and there's a lot of red in the read. Okay, and then this is the second read in 3D, 4D, 5D. You see how the 3D has a lot of red in it, but the 4 and 5D don't. It gets very much more blue. And then this is the 4D, 5D, 6D. Okay, you see how blue it is. Okay, and so there's a message here in regards to the fire versus the light. And also, I did a couple twin flame reads, but I'm not getting like major significant messages. The Queen of Wands has definitely been coming up, and there may be some frustrated energy again. So the fire energy is coming up as the passion energy, which involves ego. So there may be some negative Queen of Wands energy coming up around you right now, but that was the theme through the twin flame reads that I was doing. But the union reads are bringing up more messages for you guys, so I wanted to make sure I got these out there. So the first one, like I said, is a really quick summary read, but the second and third one are very significant messages. So please stay tuned. So you have the 3 reads, and today is the 17th. So we have starting the read, it's 10:19 now, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun. But we started at 10:17, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Star. And today is the 17th. The 3 reads were done yesterday. The first one was done at 10:04, which is like 10:04, message received. I think there's a different message regarding CB language these days, but when I was growing up, it meant 10:04, it meant message received. So this union read for the 3D, 4D, 5D, the summary for this one was the Page of Pentacles, and I'm just going to show you the format I read this in. I go from the underlying energy, which I put up here for you, the center read, and then the closing energy. I'm going to start out with that summary, and then I go through the incoming Divine Feminine, the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, the Divine Feminine, the Divine Masculine, and then the bridge between them, and the outgoing Divine Masculine, and then the closing card up here. So for this first read, 3D, 4D, 5D, the Page of Pentacles was the underlying energy, 7 of Wands, the central energy, and 10 of Pentacles was the closing energy. So curious, Phoenix rising to the dream family, the ingoing Divine Feminine with Luna and Lu coming up, and the Ace of CI and Reason. So whatever CI means to you. But also can just represent the sound of C, and I always bring up the C, CI, Lu, or the shadow side of you, acing the CI, reason, the lunacy of love, and the logic of control, the night waves, calming to daylight, outpouring of love as the Emperor gives up control. In the 3D, the Divine Feminine Higher Self. Not in 3D, the Divine Masculine Queen of Wands with their hands into everything. The bridge is here in the 3D between the Masculine and Feminine by resting, break, and the 5D connection. The Divine Masculine taking away time by himself. In the 4D is the Divine Feminine Wounded Warrior, the Divine Masculine alchemizing, being the patient angel, and the bridge by rising above the ashes and the drama to tango in the Middle East with flame. And again, flame can be drama as well. In the 5D was the Divine Feminine in the ethers and the frog with no name, the Divine Masculine floating in their knowing, staying clear with purples and silvers, and the Divine Feminine green and white, and bridging in the 5D by the tower and their epiphanies between each other. The Divine Feminine, the higher self, transmuting the fire on the bridge, transcending to 5D, and the Divine Masculine with the Queen of Wands. Alky, perhaps someone who drinks, or alchemizing and numb, being patient, comfortably numb, and floating. Okay, and that can just represent the feminine side of the masculine as well. The bridge between is the break, the 5D meditation, the ocean, the sea salts, the phoenix again coming up here, rising, flame in hand, to the 5D tower where falling is easier, with epiphanies instead. Rising above dark shadows. The outgoing divine masculine is the king of swords, taking a risk to pass downloads or receive them from the hermit in the Mary Magdalene cave with broken crystals. Above in the cold, while red has the dream, all aligned 10 in a row with peacock in tow. The student rising above those who would come against them, rising to the 10 of Pentacles occasion, the dream family, and ending up with the dream. Okay, so there's a 3D dream and there's a 5D dream, and there are different energies here, and it's trying to show us the difference between, in the tarot, we start out with the flames, and then we go to cups, and then we go to swords, and then we go to pentacles. That's the culmination of the deck, the 10 of Pentacles. And so the wands is that ego energy that we're born with as a human being. We're supposed to, right? We have this veil. We're not supposed to know ourselves completely, and we're working our way back to ourselves, who we truly are. So we're getting off those layers of ego and karma, which we come into this world with, and then build up more karma and dealing with each other, and then go to the cups of feelings and emotions, which also can be very 3D, and then going into the swords, which is then clarifying our thoughts, and then into the pentacles, which is then releasing the thoughts and emotions to that higher love energy in order to manifest at the 0 point. So this second read was also 3D, 4D, 5D at 1019, which I just brought up 1019, very interesting. 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, 19 is the Sun. And again, these are all done on the 16th, which is the Tower. And the, let's see, 19, 20, 21, 23, so 24 energy, so that's the Queen of Wands. So you're the Tower and the Queen of Wands, which is drama, a lot of drama, very dramatic drama, okay? So we start this second readout with the 10 of Swords underlying energy, which is the ending of the pain and the betrayal and the painful endings, but it's also going into the bliss state. The swords dropping out of your back is the bliss. The central energy being abundance or the mother, and then the final energy being alchemy or the patient angel or the higher love. Ending pain, painful end, or back pain and related issues, massage and bliss, the worst over as well as the Empress inner abundance with arms open wide to alchemical process and a higher love. Getting to the core, the pit of the stomach, eating all your words and or emotions. Gaia supporting her children, the divine feminine ending pain, and the divine masculine losing patience to get to the bliss and the higher love. So the incoming divine feminine here is the 5 of Swords, the 10 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Cups. And you notice the 2 5s and the 10. 2 5s equal the 10, right? A lot of change equals the new beginning. And 55 is the truth. And then 10 is that turn for the better with the Wheel of Fortune. And then I was getting changing and face the strain, all right? So changes and face the strain of growing and stretching, faceless and green, high atop Mount Everest, in the ethers, juggling, and the juggernaut came up. The Lord of the Universe, Krishna's title. Naut is also sailor. So dealing with the Lord of the Universe, Krishna's title, and then Poseidon could be coming up as the sailor as well. British India and Rath Yatra, the chariots parade at Puri, Orissa, with wagon of idol of Lord Krishna. Pulled with ropes by hundreds of devotees, the wagon develops considerable momentum and then becomes unstoppable, which I think I'm going to post my daughter's tattoo on her arm today because there's that kind of energy here. So unstoppable, that chariot that will crush all in its path. Also the institution that's that incites destruction or careless sacrifice. Okay, so juggernaut was that main energy coming up there. And then it brought up for me the hostilities card from the energy deck, because that's been coming up a lot, which is the 26, which is the Page of Wands. And we have the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands. So that fiery ego energy. Passion is inspiration plus ego. The fire being the ego, the sword energy being the light or the inspiration. So dealing with that hostilities card, I was guided to break down the word, and I'll get into that in a minute. And there was a process to which this read went through to get there. So at 1037, which is the Wheel of Fortune, the turn for the better, destiny, and the 37 of the King of Cups, which is also unconditional love, the frog growing to the prince with help of the masses to climb to the spiritual heights above the clouds, the ethers and plasma, or in other words, no red cells, right? When you separate blood, plasma is the yellow. The faceless higher self with their head above the clouds, struggling, or juggling rather, it could be struggling and juggling, 3 with 2 to spare on the ground, focusing on 2.5, right? Half of the 5, the right hand and the left foot crossed over in a half step, seen as a misstep below. But on the higher levels, it's done on purpose in order to cross the energies of the masculine and feminine, aligning the right and the left. So one of the energy techniques to do this is to cross your arms and tap on your chest, pulling you into the center again, aligning your right side and your left side, aligning the energy body, crossing legs while busy with your hands, 3 up in the air while 2 on the ground, 2 feet, 2 hands, and higher self, right? Your healing energy centers, your feet, your hands and your feet, and your higher self, and the dance back and forth, the movement to get energy flowing. The red is coming up as the ego, feminine, on the ground, with her abundance, keeping the frog to prince grounded, and ego is here for a reason, to keep us alive while we're in human bodies. The red feminine on the ground in her abundance, keeping the frog to prince grounded, the stretching and growing up, while he on the flying trapeze with the greatest of ease at 1053, a change for the better, and the Knight of Swords, the messenger of truth. So him on the trapeze with the greatest of ease, and then in the shade to purge and take it easy without the sun, sitting under a tree, unable to look up at the 2 cups. The war and the elite and the grief go hand in hand. The perpetrator, the savior, and the victim, as I was talking about. The polarities of the perpetrator and the savior, the victim's in the middle, the one who can shift both by just turning an eighth of a turn, or have 2 in the center, 2 victims, the twins, both turn an eighth turn towards each other, which becomes the X, marks the spot, and therefore pulling in the outliers, the polarities, into the center. So the victim changes the perspective upon whom we rely to shift consciousness. It's up to the collective to take back their power. When we link etherically, we are unstoppable. At 1101, which is justice and the magician. 5 plus 5 equals 1. War plus grief creates a new beginning. In the 3D was the 9 of Wands, the 8 of Wands, and Luna, or the moon. The divine feminine wounded warrior, physical surrender in the 3D, right? Because feminine's really not in the 3D anymore. We're still connected here, but we're not of it, okay? The divine masculine with Luna, or the moon, or perhaps some lunacy going on, surrendering to that lunacy, the calmness of the new moon. And lunacy also can be the divine masculine's perspective of the etheric realms, of the divine feminine's perspective, right? Being in the higher chakra systems, they may consider that as lunacy, and now they are experiencing that lunacy. The calmness of the new moon, the night and the early morn, bridging in 3D by the 8 of Wands, energetic exchange, in color my world at sunrise and sunset only, right? They're like safe zones in between the middle spot between the sun and the moon. And I always get this too for the masculine and feminine. And don't forget, we both have masculine and feminine in us, so it's not exclusive to one or the other. But the masculine is of the sun, so he doesn't, men tend to like basements more in the dark. And the feminines like to have, big open spaces and lights, because the masculine is of the sun and doesn't need as much sun. The feminine is more of the the etheric realms, the dark, so she needs more sun when she's down here. She's the collector of that energy, like my safety pin technical example, bringing the energy into the heart, and then that goes to the masculine and then recycles that way, like filling up the gas tank. Goes from the pin, from her circle in the bottom of the pin to his circle in the bottom of the pin. Then he's the back of the pin, she's the front of the pin that opens, and then the casing on top is the housing of both. The red, orange, and yellow skies, the 0 point in any negative exchange, being in 3D but not of it, leaving the sunlight behind, the caveman's fire, and the ego of drama and karma for the blue hues, the leaving the moody blues behind with the sun and the moon. The sun god, the moon shadow, and the savior and the perpetrator, the deities, the polarities, the middle being daylight savings, the 1 hour shift. Each spring forward and fall back, summer and winter are the extremes, the polarities, with most creation going on in the spring and the fall. After the shifts, at 11:11 is the justice and justice, so just double justice, which is just truth and balance times 2. And also in the spring and the fall, misery loves company of the 3D victims here. So at 11:14, which is justice, and then the temperance card, the angels, the higher love, being patient. The 4D is the Knight of Pentacles, the abundance card, and the hangman. The divine feminine's proposal of Greece. Jesus and Pilate and his asking the universe. Pilate's asking the universe for guidance because he didn't want to arrest Jesus, but he was under pressure from the masses. Or to the wounded warrior. It's all Greek to them. The carpenter and the politician, or the foreigner of means and culture, and the pauper. The Knight of Pentacles, loyal, humble servant, offering to help, to be of service. The divine masculine, hanging man, with the right knee block, the anger issues, and trying to ascend. So here again is Easter, Jesus on the cross, trying to transcend his anger of what everyone's doing to him. Bridging with the mother, or the monkey in the middle, the monk key, the mother in the middle, open to all her children and all directions. All right, so this was coming up as bridging with the mother in the middle, open to all of her children, as well as bridging with the monkey in the middle, open to all their directions. The mother with Cain and Abel needs assistance to walk with the cane, but she is able and independent. The Knight of Pentacles offering help, and the hanging man is angry at her. Rich man, poor man, and worthiness, envy and hostilities, which comes up as hostile, but also hostile, right? A hotel, somewhere to stay, the Happiness Hotel, that roadside place for travelers and animals. So when I looked up hostilities and hostile, the word, I-L-E, and of course we have H-O-S-T, which is host, and then I-L-E, which had very significant words in it for this message here, because we have the hare, which is one of your connections. We had corn, which came up, and I'd actually fried up some corn the night before. The spring well, right? The spring water, the healthy water, and the sole of the foot, the soul, and also the home and the house. The intestines came up, as well as the aisle. So now herein a message was coming up regarding all this. So the hostile or the hostile, the home or the safe place, like a safe house, or is it a hostile house? The aisle, right? The path, or is it the island? To be the island unto themselves. Are you on the bridge? Are you on the island? Are you on the drawbridge? Are you in the castle or the moat? The L and the M came up here, right? Because hostile is E-L. So whenever L comes up, it can reference for me Elohim, but it's also the letter L. L. And L can be Lu or love. And also remember, to experience your shadow is to love yourself, because there is no such thing other than to be in balance of both sides. And then also the M came up because in Elena Danon's video. She was kidnapped by the Greys when she was 9 years old, but you can check out her YouTube channel if you'd like. But her savior was a Pleiadian, and the Pleiadians talk about their God. They talk as God in a feminine reference called Imana. So whenever I hear Imana, I think of M, just like in James Bond, the mother base. So L and M are coming up here. And it's funny because in Elena's video, she sometimes does a video with the person who helped her awake to her captivity. And her name is Elisa, I think, but they're both L's. Alana, and then Amana was coming up for me. So then Anna was coming up, the A-N-A. So you have the L and M, and then the Anna or Anna. And Anna has a lot of definitions that were important coming up here as well. So it's a collection of things associated with person or place or anecdotes of each in equal quantity. It also came up in slang as anorexia. But listen to this one. In a direction and not analogous or similar to, like a second sense, to up, the direction up, but along additional access that's added by the fourth dimension, which is the energy we're in now, and the difference between the two reads that I'm doing today. It also is a form of Indian money, a smaller form of the rupee, and then me, my, tree, mother, mom, mama, grandmother, man, caves, caverns, to rush, to barge into, wealth, prosperity, and a spell of fine weather. There are, to be, the child, we, I, guessed, down, below, and onward. So you see it encompasses everybody. To guess, to believe, to see, to make out, to discern, and including the ancestors and our forefathers. The whole of the ship, to live, to dwell, his, hers, main, and fundamentals. So that was all coming up for Anna, A-N-A. And also Has was coming up for hostile, H-O-S, which was very interesting because the first definition was all about X's. At X's, and literally they just used the letter X. At X's, someone's place or abode, in X's view, as X, and the horse was coming up as well, expresses in it their writings to dance and bounce arm in arm. The horse and the hare came up under Has, and harsh sounds as well, being unclear or hard to detect. The host of L, or Isles, hair, soul, springwell, home, corn, intestines, and hurry, the hostile, saving someone's spot. Seen by X or at their place, expresses it in their writings, but hard to detect. Harsh, sound, unclear, hoarse in expression, when we lose our voice in trying to express for different people. The thorny escort, troop, or company. The horse and hare, the dance and bounce arm in arm. The coat of arms was coming up. But they may belong, but don't get along. That kind of energy, right? The coat of arms being arm in arm, but you're supposed to stay with each other even if you don't like each other, right? So horse hare, of course, brings up horse and hound, but is coming up horse hare. And 1960 comes up the Looney Tunes short that was released on February 13th, 1960 with Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam. So here's Uncle Sam coming up. And that was the first Bugs that was released in the 1960s. Horse and Hare also came up for Shop.com. Artists Neil and Kerry in Winchester, Virginia, specializing in, lino cut and woodcut printmaking and wood-carved art of Tara, nature, pop, and creatures, with folky flair. So you might want to check that out. Again, that was Horse and Hare, Shop.com. And then, of course, the definition for hare coming up, which most people know as rabbits. But it's also the player in a paper chase. of hare and hounds game. So here hounds comes up again. Leaving a paper trail to excite, to tease, to worry, right? And isn't that what the hare does, right? They tease you. Come on, I'm fast, I'm running away. To worry, to be cold or frosty, gray, and I just talked about a gray abduction. Gray-haired and venerable, worthy of respect. Hers, hire, house, to carry, to take away, to pillage, root, devastate. You know, what does a rabbit do? They dig things up. Devastate, they wreak havoc, ravage, rage, and vandalize. So here's the word hostile, and energy was coming up. The host, so the definitions coming up for hostile were host of hare, or the host of soul, or corn, or spring well, home, intestines, and being in a hurry equals the host of hare is what? Is the head, the body. It hosts the hare. The head, the body, is the hostile, the horse and hare, with lots of hair. The farmer, the rancher, who hosts the horse and hare, or Bugs Bunny. The foot, the arch. The foot hosts the soul. The arch hosts the soul. The husk hosts the corn. And the well hosts the spring well water. The homeowner hosts the house. And the gut with the body, the wedding planner, also hosts here. What was the last one? So those were all coming up as the hostile. And this was at 12:21 then, right here at PM yesterday. Right after I finished writing that, they're late for a very important date. Bugs Bunny, that's all, folks. Always in a hurry and thus angry. So we're talking about hostility. Impatience is being too energized. This is the enemy. Being in a rush. Yet patience is and are the enemy too, where there's no energy or those who are sick. The Energizer Bunny and the dead battery, the deadbeat. Take away the impatience and the patience and meet in the middle with mom in peace. The hostel or the happiness hotel, where there's no expectations and yet a place to call home for the moment. And then I had to break there. I had to go to my accountant's appointment, actually. And then at 5D, which was at 2:16, the High Priestess and the 16 of the day it was yesterday, and the Tower, was the Two of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, and the Tower. The Divine Feminine surrendering choices to Source and inspiration with a pink hue, and hue came up multiple times this day. The Divine Masculine Tower of Epiphany with sudden light illuminating the shadows and fires to put out, or sudden escape. Or the escape is ES cape, S cape. So ES is again S. So we had L, M, and S coming up as the sound being two letters, but also the single letter as well. And this is S cape, the Sophia cape. So instead of Batman or the Christ Savior, here's the Sophia cape. This is the feminine rescuer, escape, the Sophia cape, merging on the steps to 6D. So there seems to be a bypassing of sorts in the fifth dimension here. It's like there's been a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like that, tainting of the 5D as well, right? The 5D is supposed to be pure, but it's like, and it may just be indicating that once you hit the 5D, you don't have to stay in 5D, because then you have access to all the dimensions. So and there could be some hijacking in the 5D as well, but most of the harmful energies can't access that 5D, or it certainly can't access it once you hit 5D, and then you can go beyond. So at 240 is the High Priestess and the 40 of the Page of Cups. In the 5D, the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine walking together up the stairs or riding the escalator. As she surrenders, first slow, and then So it's first being slow to start out, right? As she surrenders in the 2x2s going up the stairs of the escalator, the 72, and he allows the fall away from putting out other people's fires for them, allowing the past to burn, even bridges. The Divine Feminine here comes up from Plymouth Rock to up Schitt's Creek and the Red Mother Lode in between. The 3D Wounded Warrior becomes the Knight of Pentacles in 4D at your service to the 5D Complete Surrender to Papa Knows Best, Creator, and Mama Gaia holding the fort down in 4D. The Divine Masculine here is the new moon, the shadowy illumination, and escaping the 3D dark feelings to the 4D to address anger issues, to hang and see new perspectives in a crystal chamber. Hanging by a chain and ring, hang 5, a precarious situation, to prepare for a stunt in the 5D writing on the wall, Sam Smith and J.J. Field, Captain America, the first Avenger. Spidey can get down on their own. He doesn't need Superman to come to the rescue at 305, which is the Empress and the Hierophant. The bridge here is the 8 of Wands. As the cyclone takes flight, speeding up and aiming at the 0 point field, in a splatter of emotion and drama, tightening the circle, and it's very funny because someone commented in an old video of mine from 2018, in which I was talking about visualizing a rubber band around your vertebrae if you have any bulges or pain in your back, to visualize a rubber band around that vertebrae and then tighten it. And that's something that I was saying on that video had helped me on my airplane flight back then. So that might be coming up again. So in a splatter of emotion and drama, tightening the circle of trust to keep the energy more pure, running a tight ship at the helm, together in energetic exchange, making love, not war, to the mother lode and the mother ship, loosening up in 4D, introduced to the ether plasma, removing the red, the ego, the drama and the karma, separating the blood in a centrifuge of the speed of light in an instant, separating the wheat from the chaff. I was just getting the wheel from the chase. Separating the wheat from the chaff, or the wheel from the chase, the corn from the hull and husk, in Here's to Us, where the mother brings them together, her special troop, Noah's counterpart, Allie, in the notebook that is missing. And it's funny because the guy's working on my house, he couldn't find his notebook yesterday. 2x2, 72 pairs in the 144, and all up the spiral staircase, up in the air. The case is the hosting. It's hosting the steps. The steps are hosting the chalices, the cups that are on the steps. The stem and the place, the stem and the holder of the glass, the chalice. The stem and the placeholder. The rod and the staff, supporting and holding up the Holy Grail. The axis, holding Atlas, holding up the head, the weight of the world, with a pie and a pit and a 2 to 3 world split. Plasma, broken down is plas and ma, so there's a mother again. Plas is to crack, burst, break through, to tear, blow, explode, flash, flush, add, a body of still water, a puddle, urine. And then I was getting still waters run deep. To urine, to excrete, with a wham and a paddywhack, down boy. Mansion, palace, and hall all came up for plas in plasma. So we have mother and plas, all to please Sophia the ma. Leaving behind the plea, P-L-E-A, to go to the play, P-L-A-E. Leaving behind the plea to the mother to go out and play. Which is so funny because one of my worker guys, his name, I was bringing up the A-E, that symbol, it's called the ash. And one of the guys I'm working with, his mother's name is Ash. So it was very cool how all these synchronicities were coming together. So ether has that AE, the ash symbol, to the nth degree. So ether is ash to the nth degree in a rush. A-E, T-H to the nth degree, E-R, in a rush. And then the T-H-E-R is I cut, prick, pierce, slaughter, there, and these. The residual of fireworks is ash, right? So fireworks, any kind of fireworks, whether it's in an oven or a kiln or fireworks being set off, the residual of fireworks is ash, ashes to ashes. And the word ashes is ash, E-S. E-S is the S, the Sophia, the ash of Sophia to the ash of Sophia. Or the picture of this, which A-E, the ash symbol, looks like a bow tied, but it also looks like the fish symbol coming together, kissing fish. And then we have the E-S, which also looks like an apple that's still on the tree. So that was the symbol I was getting, right? Because normally you'd see an apple is a circle with the stem going up in two directions. And then here, one direction it's closed off, like it's still on the tree. It hasn't been picked yet. So that's the ES symbol. Also, it looks like twins in a nest where one egg is cracked open and the other is not. It also looks like the ring, the tab that you pull off the top of a soda can. That's the ES. So we have the AE of the ashes and the ES of that symbol of the apple, perhaps. And then the PLE, P-L-E-A, is the EA of emotional attachments, the P-L-A-E being the AE of the ash. The P-L here of the plural, the place, the pulo or bottle, chalice, bowl, or the number 10. The germinate, the float, the sprout, the eye putting forth, the energy to grow. Also that ES was coming up with the whale and the spout, a link in a bracelet, and a Viking ship. All of those energies around the ES and the PL. So everything around plasma and ashes, which is coming from ether. All right, so there's more coming up to this. Let's see here. So the outgoing divine masculine here was at 458 yesterday. The indigo, which is the magician in this SIRIAN STARSEED deck, the 3 of Pentacles and the 2 of Swords, proposing to come together at work, knowing and floating on air and floating for angling purposes, keeping thoughts balanced in the Indy 500, or perhaps 5 offices, or 3 offices and 2 antennae, right? Keeping your ears and eyes open, and 1 polished diamond in a high vibe trill, a trace, a transition or a transitive translator, a table row, a season, a time, to respect or be respectful. This is that venerability that was coming up, the worship, the hail, the foot, to have a soul. Proposing to keep the workplace afloat, alchemizing in a higher love, the bliss to the higher love. And you notice this read starts out with the 10 of Swords, which is bliss, and ends up on the Temperance card, which is a higher love. The bliss state of the feminine, the higher love of the divine masculine, with the mother in the middle supporting both, all of her children, every step of the way. So the numbers that came up with this grid were 61. 61 is the risk card, the liar, cheater, thief. But it's just a card of inherent risk, taking a risk to get past your thoughts. The energy coming up here around the sun and the source and the 2 of Cups, taking a risk to self-love and love one another, 1-to-1. The devil and the wheel, the Hierophant, justice and devil, and the Empress and the High Priestess on the journey, a codependent destiny of a marital justice, and the shadow, the Empress's secret and risky business. There could be Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn, as well as Leo, and perhaps Gemini and Virgo coming up here as well. And the Knight of Pentacles with family support, the Indigo with workplace support, and a lot of abundance in the 4D, the mother load. Stretching and growing, frog to prince, 2 indigo child with an offering, green and white. On the other side, indigo and magenta, right? So one is focused on the heart to the crown, the other one's focused on the indigo and magenta, which is then more of the third eye energy, right? The heart connection and the third eye energy, 2 separate ones. The heart connection coming up is the green, and then the third eye energy coming up as the purple. And when I go into meditation, many times I'll see the green and purple swirling. That will always be the colors I see up coming together. And for everybody, it may be different. Like I have more of a green physical healing aura, whereas other more channels and things like that, who are direct channels all the time, may come up as more purples and indigos and magentas perhaps. But magentas comes up for me more as the high heart energy. So we have, and that's just relating to the etheric body, right? So the green heart has to do with your physical body. The pink heart has to do with your your etheric body. But remember that the colors pink and green, that pink's always been associated with mental health, and green has always been associated with physical health. So that might help you with remembering the colors. So this second read yesterday was done for the 4D, 5D, 6D. Again, this is just for the twins and the star seeds, right? Because this is a higher energy. It's not in the 3D anymore. And there was an energy that comes up in this read too, where I was getting, there are technical differences between density and dimension, but I was getting specifically that density refers more to the physical body, whereas dimension refers more to the etheric body, okay? Which makes sense because I was just explaining differences between that in another way. All right. So this union at 547, which is the Hierophant and the Seven of Cups, right? The Seven of Cups is heaven on earth, right? It's that heaven in your eyes, knowing that dreams do come true. It's seeing the synchronicities, having choices, and they can all be good. It's just your choice on how you want to experience this. And now we may be in the 3B, but not of it. We're definitely in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension now. This is especially coming up on 321. But I was getting the Eyes of March, so it may be officially the 15th, since we're now past the 15th. The 10 of Wands was the incoming energy that you see in front of you, the center card being the Page of Swords, right? So the underlying energy, which was the bottom of the deck, the central energy, and then the final card, which is that Seven of Flames right there. So dark to light, bringing up a message. The flame to the orb, right? Instead of the candle and the firelight, you notice I put flashing lights up instead. They're not very good. You can barely see the flicker inside the flame. But the light, I was noticing how enticing it is to see light, and I was asking my guides, well, why is the artificial light being more attractive to people than the actual flame? And this was the explanation they were giving me, because as you get up to the higher realms, it's more of the light. The red is taken away, because red is referencing the blood of the human in 3D, but when we separate the blood out from the plasma is gold. So rising above the ego, karma, flames, to tango with flame in hand, and referencing just your twin flame as the flame, the incoming divine feminine with the King of Swords, the 9 of Cups, and the 7 of Pentacles, the crystal skull, the King of Pentacles here, or the King of Crystals, comes up as the crystal skull in this deck, the SIRIAN Starseed deck. The crystal skull, King of Pentacles, with no lower jaw to speak with, shining 6 rays of light to bring your wish, with Egypt and Thailand out on a limb to bet, which is Thai and bet, source bet. And Thailand is Thai also, T-I. So Thai, source is land, and then out on a limb is to bet, source bet. The divine feminine's heart in the E-Tower, receiving people, while the divine masculine's outside meditating with crystals to resonate within. The King of Pentacles provided our wish with the 5 cups and the 5 rays given, and the 6th on its way. 5 plus 5 equals 1 more, with 7 crystals to fill them, reaping rewards of akashics and self-satisfaction. Dark to light, it's been a long, arduous climb, with flame in hand as the final baton. Remember, I always used to talk about the 3rd baton in the race, getting into the 4th leg of the race, right? We were stuck there in the past, not passing on the baton. Well, here in the 3rd leg of the race, or the 4th leg of the race, the flame or the baton switches to the orb. It becomes the light. It switches from the flame to the glowing orb. The Master of 97 reflects the 79, the pot of gold. The 79 with a heart of service and seen as wise counsel, whereas the 97 could be of a heart that is of wise counsel, seen as service to others, but perhaps is walked on, right? Walked all over for insinuating that you're insinuating your advice on others. So someone who has the heart of service to others is in the right place, but they may be seen as giving advice because by example, they're of service to others. Whereas when you have the 7 on the inside, the 7 heart is the wise counsel. But we're really not supposed to, impose our views on others. You're supposed to be of self-counsel. So in numerology, when the 7 is in the heart placement and the 9 is on the outside, a lot of times I've seen in numerology over the years, because I've been doing numbers since my 20s, of people, the people with a lot of 9s in their charts, and seen as 9s especially, may get walked all over, right? Because they feel like they need to sacrifice. The 9 can also be the number of the nursing and the destiny placement, right? Because they serve many, many different people. So that's the kind of energy that's coming up. So the Master 97, right? Master getting walked all over reflects the 79, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow on the other side of the bridge in the 5D, the 79 with a heart of service, like I said. And then this was at 717, which is the chariot and the star, which today is the 17 again. And again, this is about the heart where intention is all. All right, so here's a very significant message here. A lot came up from this right here. The heart of gold, and notice this, right? Plasma, when you take out the red cells of the 3D, you're left with the gold plasma. The heart of gold is the Christ consciousness, all for one and one for all. Now listen to this, all for one, 41, and 1 for 14, all. All, 41, 14, all. All for one and one for all. But I want you to see this visually because there's more codes that came out regarding this. I'm trying to get it to you as clear as I can. All right, so I want you to look at this setup here and notice that the and in the middle is an E. All right, you see the monk E in the middle, the 14 and the 41, and notice the 11s in all. And I'm going to get into the right and the left side as well as the 2 A's there as well. So the heart of gold is the Christ consciousness at 717, all for one and one for all 41, which is the Ace of Cups, and 14, which is the Temperance card, the higher love, is all. According to Adam or Abraham and Anna, which came up as a definition earlier, the 2 A's, Anna. All are offering the big love, the 41. Or this is the human condition, wanting the big love or to receive to give it or to receive it. But on the other side, the 14 is the higher love is all, is being it. So then the Anna comes up of the 2 A's with the N in the middle. And if you switch that and in the middle, which is the E with 2 lines above and below, and if you turn that a quarter, it becomes an N, a double N or an M. So it can be Amma or Anna in a direction similar to up, like a second sense, but along the additional axis added by the 4th dimension. And that's where the dimension of the energy body was coming up regarding the density of the physical body. So then I was pulling out the different letters of all for one and one for all as that came up with 41 and 14. And you notice the E in the middle is a very significant letter because E is also 3 backwards, but it's also M and W when you place it in all directions. E, 3, M, and W. Very significant letters. The W comes up as woman and M is man. E is the Elohim or that energy of the 5 in expansion and freedom, and 3 is the Trinity, of course. You know about the 3. But if you put them 2 together, you have the Wounded Warrior and the Mary Magdalene, the Michael and Metatron, all of the double M's, the Mother Mary, but the Wounded Warrior, and the victim mentality, the Jesus energy on the cross. And then the E's stacked on top of each other, and the 3's stacked up on each other, come up as waves. But when you put them all together, you get these circles like this right here. Where are they? Yeah, see the circles? So there's 2 circles upright and then 2 circles horizontally. So that's what comes up when you put the M's and W's and the 3's and E's together. You get an oval 11 and then an 11 on its side. But remember that an oval is a circle at an angle. So you literally, you can have an 11, which is the line, which is seeing the circle on the side, you just see a line, or you can see the full circle side by side, which then becomes the toroidal field. But here it looks like a butterfly. And then the 2 stacked on top of each other can be, the butterfly also is like the infinity symbol, but we have the transformation of the butterfly and the other one being like 2 pine cones stacked on top of each other, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. There's a very significant energies here. It's also the toroidal field with the 2 circles side by side. And the 0 point of the middle, right? The hourglass. It signifies all of those things. So I also pulled out the letters from all for one and one for all. So taking out the 41 and the 14 and the all 11s, we have A, E, and then A. One's on the right, one's on the left. So we have R-A, E, and then L-A. And we could put a C in there for the center, right? Because we have right, left, and center. So we have R-A-C-E-L-A, which is race, L-A. But it also comes up as a word race-lieri with the ash symbol in it. So there's the ash symbol coming up again. R-A-C-E-L-A-E, which is the ash, and then the R and an E, which means scientific racism or raceology, presented as or supported by science here. Also the word Raela came up, and only Rael came up, R-A-E-L, the path, the road, the way, the is that right, camel? The solution or the means. But also it's the ray, right? R-A is ray, C-E or cella, C-E-L-A comes up as the cell, and we're talking about red cells, and here we have ray cell, which is the gold, but also cella means disgrace, or chila or cella is the pupil. It also means to ask for, to request, also a garment and a cloth, the cell. And cell, of course, can reference being trapped in a cell, trapped in the red cell. So we have the ray cell, and then on the other side with the 14, the E and the A with the other side, the L side, the right and the left, we have A, L, C, E, and R, A, or just A, L, E, R, A. So first Altera I looked up, but they only had Altera, which meant to alter. So the alter was coming up, upset, anger, spoil, and corrupt, or change, to alter. But then Alera came up, which is the female Eve, not EVE, but EAVE, which is just referencing the ash again, or the emotional attachments, which is the reflection of that. The winger, the small forward, a wingman or companion, that's coming up as the Alera. Or it can be all era, all time, all time, or a season. A season came up as a definition earlier too. Alcera. Also CE with the 4, when I typed it in, 4 came up instead of the R, so that they were equating the number 4 with the R. And then Sera came up as wax, complexion, honeycomb, wax seal or image, daughter or crayon, which is so funny because crayons came up yesterday with my work guys too, using my, those wood fillers that are like crayons, they're wax crayons, and having fun with your crayons because they literally were having fun with the crayons. So then I went into the numbers, right? Because we had 4114 and then 1441. So I looked up 1141 and 1411. As far as the years, I wasn't seeing that much. Actually, Transylvania was established in 1141. And in 1141, there was a flight that crashed that was actually the number of the flight that crashed, that took off, and that was in Dallas to Salt Lake, August 31st, 88. That was a 727-200, and 14 people died, and there's that 14 coming up again of the 41 and 14. 76 were injured. The Roman numerals were coming up for those years, MCXLI and then MCDXI were coming up. The definitions from the Gematria for 1141 was Bride of Jesus was number 1. And then Keanu Reeves, which is so weird because early on in my journey, I was actually seeing Keanu Reeves. Dishon angers God and goes to eternal hell also came up, as well as that was something else. 1411 came up, pyramid. It says Van Allen, but I don't know if it meant Van Halen, because sometimes in Gematria it goes by sounds the way it's typed in. So pyramid, Van Allen, or Van Halen perhaps. 7 rays came up. Jeffrey Epstein. Reincarnation of King David came up under 1411. And then pack your bags and get out. Iowas. There is no step. 5 end. 13th zodiac is us. Aviva came up, special delivery. You're all going to be arrested. Shannon Watts. And then the Queen of Wands came up, which I just told you she was causing drama this week. And then William is Lucifer came up, and the last one there was 2 stars that I wrote down. So also, since ANA and Anna came up, AMA also came up, which is well known as the American Medical Association. But AMA literally means Japanese pearl diver, right? Diving for pearls or that which is toxic. And it literally also means toxic byproduct, incomplete or improper digestion. And this is all around AMA. Fabric made from hair. So here's hair coming up again, of camel or goat. So now we have horse and hare and camel and goat. Also mistress, village, wet nurse, grandmother, we, father, mother, origin, I, now, loving with love, housekeeper, rain, yonder, water, to trouble, yoking, the yolk, the skin, the membrane, the flute, human beings, people, to bother, wound, dogs, now dogs here as well, which is hound, a large amount, ton, old ruin, ugh, blah, paternal uncle, maternal aunt, mother-in-law, and the American Medical Association. Like I said, that was coming up from AMA. So pack your bags. Oh, I have that. Pack your bags and get out. I was just being guided to bring that up again. Pack your bags and get out. So that energy may be coming up. So then we go into the 4D. As I was still analyzing all for one and one for all, also left and right were coming up as the LL with the number 4, because you see the number 4, it's like a 1 with an L on it. And L is at a 90-degree angle. It's the part of a square. It's a block. So that's the block on the 1. And LL together was coming up as a U. And then the 4 is the same thing as a U. It's just the stem's been bent up to make the U. So look at a capital U with a tail going horizontally. And then the U with a tail going vertically down is the number 4. And then I was shown to put them on top of each other. So of course L on L becomes 1L, but L and R becomes a circle and a triangle. It's like a circle at the top of the triangle about to go down the mountain, like an avalanche. And it makes me think of that song too. Take my love, take it down, climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, oh, well, a landslide will bring it down. So that's coming up here. That was a big song for me in high school, too. My senior year. So that might be coming up for someone up there. So now we get up to the 4D for this read, with the 4 of Swords, the 4 of Cups, and the 2 of Cups. The Divine Feminine on break, in masculine energy, free in thought, after salt, or perhaps salt bath or shower to clear. The Divine Masculine with the 2 of Cups, looking into each other's eyes in 4D, together under the arch, bridging with the Four of Cups, the feminine stranded in the middle of the ocean, looking up on a rock. The masculine on the beach, wondering where could they be, and looking outward, whereas the feminine's looking up. She as the star, and he sees the clouds. She is surrounded, and he is focused on the horizon. She's surrendered and surrounded. He's focused on the horizon. Oh, I was just getting her eyes on. He's focused on her eyes. So in the 5D here, and I watched the movie Savages last night. I think I've seen that a long time ago. It's an older movie. The night before I watched, I'm going to bring up those energies too, because they were significant as well. I watched Savages last night, and it was really about them talking about themselves as savages, right? The dark side of each of us, that's in each of us, you know, that you never think you're going to go there. But then what is the definition of savages, right? Going back to basics, you know, being a caveman. So where did I write them here? Oh, so the one in Paper Lives. Oh, that was very interesting. Paper Lives or Paper Lives? I don't know. But that movie I watched, had a very interesting twist to it, so you might want to check that one out. And I finished watching the one too. I got kind of tired of watching the one, but it's just very interesting, the twin dynamics of the one. I'm recording right now. You can come in, but I can't talk to you right now. Okay? Let's see here. Okay. So then the 5D. At 8:38, which is Strength and the Queen of Cups. Strength and the Queen of Cups. The Star, the Page of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles. By the way, he's very sweet. He just went back downstairs. The Divine Feminine Rock Star. And I started talking about the beach here. It was so funny because the movie Savages opened up on the beach as I was talking about the beach in my notes here. So in the 5D, the Divine Feminine Rock Star Healer and Music of the Spheres, the Midnight Sky moving forward while looking back or in a twist to stretch and release. And this is important because I've been doing Chris Macklin's healing videos in the morning when I wake up. He does free videos online. Of course, he requests donations if you can afford it. But he does 3 healing sessions, an hour each, 3 times a week, every week. So you guys, if you're not taking advantage of this, you should. I found that it's really helpful in the mornings, and you really it helps you really tune into your bodies because you'll be guided to do what feels good in that moment. So you might be guided to stretch a certain way, and because you're releasing, because he's clearing, you might burp or stretch or yawn or whatever. You know, you might release gas, whatever it is. But what I found the best is the stretches, because I'll just all of a sudden feel like stretching in a certain way, and it's literally guiding your body. And it may not happen right away. You may need to do it a few times before you get what I'm talking about, but you can really feel the healing that he's doing as well. Please take advantage of his master healing because he's really good. Chris Macklin, Macklin on YouTube. Please check him out. The Divine Masculine. Proposed above ground, the White City and Royal Cloak. And take that as it comes, the White City. I wrote it as in a white city, like Greece would be a white city, but if you take it as in a racist type of city, you can take it that way as well. But proposal above ground, White City and Royal Cloak, bridge by the Page of Swords, looking for orbs, not flames. As they climb the 5D and up, flame has become the orb of light, the crystal to the star, the crystal light. The Divine Feminine, the light bulb with the charge, like my safety pin example. The Divine Feminine becoming the light bulb, the charge, right? She fills up with the sun, passes the energy to the Divine Masculine, the crystal light, bridging in the dead of winter, with the pines between Greece and the Pleiades, or Egypt and Sirius, which is the portal energies. In the 6D here, where my left ear popped here at 10:05, which is destiny and the 5 of change and the Hierophant of freedom. In the 6D was the higher self, the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Cups. The divine feminine higher self in the plasma ethers, and miasma was coming up, which literally translates as stain or pollution. And my last name is Stainthorpe, so it cracks me up when stain comes up. But in Greek, it means stain, miasma. The definition comes up as noxious atmosphere of pollution or of influence, once thought to originate from the swamps and waste and cause disease. And of course, miasma comes up as my asthma, so this may be dealing with asthma and the inability to breathe. My brother had asthma, and we actually talked about the wounding around that at an early age he learned to clear the wound of the need to breathe because he couldn't breathe. Stain comes up, and the imprinting, and ink came up, right? And how much do we use ink? I'm very allergic to newspapers and books. I didn't like to read when I was young because the ink burned the crap out of my eyes. So ink was coming up here, and the stain, the imprint on records, parchment, words written in the etheric realms, even in Akashic records, right? The idea of the words that are written there, that are stained on you, imprinted on you. The borealis lights came up here. Charged particles from the sun strike the atoms. Remember, atoms is at-om. In the Earth's atmosphere. They cause the electrons in the atoms to move to a higher energy state. And when they release that energy, that's when the light, the beautiful light comes up, just like the bliss state that I described to you as the swords coming out of the back, right? The swords is the trauma, it's the full moon going in, and then the release of the trauma is the bliss state, like the borealis here. When the electrons drop back to a lower energy state, they release a photon. And this is from earthsky.org, which is the light, high latitudes, the fire bridge to the sky, some people would call it, or the ancestors' dance of colors, right? Because we all have different colors. Like the neon sign, the electricity excites the atoms in the neon gas and the signs in glass tubes. The light equals bliss coming down from the excited states. The O2, or oxygen, is the green. The nitrogens come up more as blue and red, so referencing below the magnetic field and above the magnetic field. And there was a photo that came up from Maine in September of 2014, which is the most beautiful pictures I found were actually in Maine and Mount Hood in Oregon, which surprised me because it's not that far north. They were very, purples and pinks came up, not just green. And then WHIO.com, charged plasma particles from the sun collide with the earth, but the magnetic field protects us. So as it hits the magnetic field, they are drawn to the north and south poles, which is why it only happens in certain locations. So if we hit plasma, which is outside the magnetic field, which is the nitrogen, the purples and blues, and then the O2 or oxygen would be the greens, the heart and the high heart, the oxygen and the nitrogen, the heart and the high heart. Like the RH crossing from mother to child, it can be toxic to each other, right? Humans aren't meant to breathe outside the magnetic field. The higher self, higher self, which is S of Sophia and elf, also the H and I of high and the G of God, and then hers, elf, or high God, herself, again coming up as the Pleiadian Imana. It is written, and here's the writing on the wall, the ink. The sun excites the earth at the magnetic field between pleasure and pain. The release of pain or solar flare causes bliss, light, the coming down off the full moon, the full charge. Electric excites magnetic and causes a fatal attraction with boundaries put up. Less and less toxic or noxious as you acclimate, becoming accustomed to the energy, alchemizing, sitting back to back before discussing things, just feeling each other, which became very apparent to me this week as I had the workers come in. So when you first meet new energies, especially in your home, which is usually very comfortable to you, there's definitely some disruption there in the energy. So the first day or two may be difficult, and then all of a sudden everything alchemizes because you get used to each other's energies. Just feeling each other without reacting in the beginning, allowing all the colors of the wheel to come to the surface. What goes up must come down. Spinning wheel got to go round. Talking about your troubles is a crying sin. Ride a painted pony, let the spinning wheel spin. Did you find the direction sign on the straight and narrow highway, which is like the bridge that we were talking about before, the aisle? Would you mind a reflection sign, which we just talked about, a neon sign? Just let it shine within your mind and show you the colors that are real, all right? Just allow it to resonate with you for a while. Let it percolate until you get it. And this, of course, is blood, sweat, and tears. And at 1040 here is the Wheel of Fortune and the Page of Cups, that the fifth dimension is the barrier between the oxygen and the nitrogen. If you're 6D or higher, you may have physical resistances in the 3 to 4D. Allergies, etc., print and dust, the wounds of words in the Akashic records, symbols and sounds, dust to dust in the wind, blood, sweat, and tears, earth, wind, and fire, right? One is more emotionally based, one is more fire-based. Emotion and passion. The ego's devotional. And then the fern was coming up, which happens to be one of the best plants for oxygen in the home, which I didn't realize. So there you go. There's a whole list of plants that came up. Fern was one of them. The peace lily was supposed to be one of the best. The spider plant, orchids came up. Aloe vera, I said peace lily. Chrysanthemum came up lower on the list of 10. I think it was the 10th one, but it's still up there. Snake plant, neem tree, holy basil, Christmas cactus, and dumb cane. And so there's Cain coming up again with Cain and Abel. The areca palm and weeping, my pen was writing out, so I don't know what I wrote there. Weeping fig came up as well. And Pothes, P-O-T-H-E-S, I'm not familiar with that one. As my voice is going, maybe they don't want you to use Pothes. Or maybe they do. Anyway, go with your own resonation, okay? So 1054, which is the wheel, and then the Page of Swords, which is in the middle of our read here today. The Divine Masculine is the Knight of Cups in the green room, coming to theaters near you, the mouth of the swordfish. And the swordfish is coming up as the bill, or William fish, because William came up there. And the rolling green into infinity and beyond, navigating the wave, resisting its pull with limited spike, but nature just to make sure that's the right word. My pens kept running out this whole page, which of course is a trigger, right? But I found a way to loosen up the ink. So if you take your pens and you heat up water a bit, don't boil it obviously because the pens might melt, but heat up the water and then just let the pen sit in there for a while because it heats up the ink and lets it come down more. So navigating the wave, the mouth of the swordfish. And again, the bill was coming up here, which is William, the William fish. The rolling green, which is like, right, the green room of a wave. And then the tidal wave is rolling green, a rolling green room. Into infinity and beyond, navigating the wave, resisting its pull with limited space, perhaps spike as well, but limited space. But nature has its way and will, and there's the Bill and will reference coming up, will bring him to safe shore, or shore safe. Bridging by the Knight of Swords, the 3 nights here. Okay, so 3 nights could be 3 nights from now. Today we're on the 17th, so that's coming up around the 20th, which is the equinox. Passing messages up and up, playing catch with coffee cup night, night to night, the nighttime to the warrior night, the divine feminine sending thoughts, pulling in his emotions. And then I got, if the mountain doesn't come to Muhammad, Muhammad must go to the mountain. And I didn't write it down because I'm like, yeah, I say that all the time. But and then in the movie, literally the kingpin woman of the drug ring, she said the same thing. If Muhammad doesn't come to the mountain must come to Muhammad. And that was her actually talking to her daughter in a loving sense, as opposed to the rest of the movie where she's being that crime boss. So thoughts are pulling in his emotions. So the thoughts of the feminine pulling in his emotions. And then rock the boat, don't tip the boat over came over, and that's the Hughes Corporation. So here's the word Hugh came up, and the Borealis and all that kind of stuff. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. I'd like to know where you got the notion. Ever since our voyage of love began, your touch has thrilled me like the rush of the wind, and your arms have kept me safe from the rolling sea. There's the rolling sea again here. There's always been a quiet place to harbor you and me. Your love is like a ship on the ocean. We've been sailing with a cargo filled with love and devotion. And then the divine feminine resting and collecting energy from the stars and her higher self, the divine masculine connection proposing to the Knight of Cups in the 5D, or the 6D rather. And the bridge here between the masculine and feminine is the island unto self, can almost touch the light with static electricity charge, phone home with finger like E.T. to the light, stand in moist soil and keep a bulb in your pocket, grow the orb and then send it from 6D to the divine masculine. The King of Pentacles and King of Swords came up here, as well as the three knights, Knight of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, and Knight of Cups. And you notice the Knight of Wands didn't come up because that's fire energy. The Queen of Wands was the only one that was out of the color mix here, and she was down here, right here. Two majors were on the divine feminine side, no majors on the divine masculine side. The Master of Crystals and the Master of Ceremonies. And then 4 kids perhaps could be represented here in 5 and 6D, all of them very high vibrational. The outgoing divine masculine was the 8 of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and the King of Swords, walking away from the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords and rising above with flame in hand. Or the Queen of Wands is walking in the Middle Eastern tango. Quantum entanglement was also coming up here with the Queen of Wands and the Quan of the quantum, when whom sprout the Mandarin and official. And the King of Swords can be the masculine, but also can be someone around the masculine. It doesn't have to be the masculine. It can be the energy of someone who's very, very much irreverent. Venerable is the word that came up in the read. But very respectful, you know, very truthworthy, but kind of cold, right? There's no love there. It's very kind of starch. But there's that energy of the blue of the indigo and the white of the purity. And the sword across his lap, you know, very pure. And then here's the Queen of Wands sitting next to the King of Swords, who's kind of the opposite of that. She's got her hands into everything and the fire and the drama of it, right? Putting her own crown on her head. She's meditating, she's healing, but it's coming up as a 3D energy as opposed to the 5 and 6D energy. So the numbers that came up with this read came up with the 51, which is the King of Swords at the end here. But then we finish with the 7 of Wands or Flames, which is rising above, and that's that Middle Eastern energy, perhaps belly dancing, but of rising from the ashes, the phoenix rising from the ashes to tango with flame in hand, you know, with all the drama below. It can be a firewalker type of energy as well. But 51 is the overall number, with the horizontals coming up as 17, 0, and 34, and the vertical pillars coming up as 10, 9, 7, 4, 4, 2, 8, and 7. So the source star in energetic exchange with the King of Swords, and then the chariot, or excuse me, the destined hermit sharing connection, dancing and ascending to the King of Swords, or the destined hermit in the chariot, grounding and integrating, twin flames ascending to the King of Swords, the chariot with 2 emperors perhaps, and the twin flames in the chariot. So however that resonates for you was the energies coming up. But then this morning when I re-listened to my old video that came up because of a comment, I was looking for a definition of a staple. Literally a picture of a staple, just that rectangle without one side. And staples came up again today in that message, as well as massages. And again, that ring around the vertebrae. So if you're having pain, to put a rubber band around the vertebrae and tighten it to help with your pain in your back. So if you have anything to share about staple, the symbol of it, what it means, let me know. And then massage was coming up, anything around that, and again the back and the rubber band things. So I'm going to pull you a card. It's already 1:20, so I don't want to take too long, but I'll pull you an energy card real quick. Let's see what comes up. It's 11:37 on the clock, which is justice, and the King of Cups, which is also unconditional love. And over here we have 1:20:30, which is the Magician, the 20 of Judgment, and the 30 of the Union. I just turned 38 on the clock, 11:38, which is the Queen of Cups. So the King and Queen of Cups here in unconditional love. And the final judgment, it's like working towards the 21, which is completion, as we're doing this countdown here. So let's see what the energy deck has to say for you guys. Take a deep breath. Okay, we have two cards that came up. 17, and today's up is just 21. Look at that. It was 01/21/01 when this card came up. 17 is the star, which is, again, the polarities merging to the center and taking action. And then the 34, the door to personal healing and happiness. And there's the rainbow, the aurora borealis energies coming up there, that everything's been cleaned out, bringing the outdoors in, bringing the plants inside. We also talk about the plants, opening your windows and letting the spring come in, purifying your energies as the polarities merge to the middle and take action. This is beautiful. 34 is the energetic exchange, the arrows of love of the 8 of Wands, a lot of energy back and forth, and the star where dreams come true. Okay, healing and dreams. And then we have the bottom of the deck, which is the journey of the 2, the High Priestess, the Rainbow Bridge, being in the middle, the monkey in the middle. Enjoying the view while you're on the way. No need to make a decision. Just allow the flow. When you're inspired, do, and when you're not, don't. On the journey. And there is the man holding a coin, the 43 of coming together. Okay, and there actually could be support. The King of Pentacles is over here on the Divine Feminine side. And then there is the path of the 12, the wisdom. And the backing. And the traveling. Perhaps somebody's going on a trip. Actually, we were just talking about it yesterday because I still have to take my parents' ashes out to Oregon. So, and there's a bunch of us who want to go because there's 5 of us kids. So, and that'll take some planning. My bags are packed. I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. All right, so there's that energy coming up there. And again, I was just saying, I'm taking my parents' ashes out, so it's like saying goodbye to your parents. Maybe people have passed, people have left your life, which is okay. Okay. Make sure you drink your water. That's your conductor, to the etheric realm. Drink your water, get your rest, get your nature, get your joy. Be good to yourselves and rise and be loved, guys. Bye.